Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Tank Observers. My name is Jackson McCarty alongside my co-host Chris Farr. And Chris, what are we doing today?
Today, we are doing the future difference makers in the AFC East, one of the most interesting divisions because for the first time in 20 long, difficult NFL years, Tom Brady's gone, and we don't know what's going on. Cam Newton's there, and so is Jarrett Stidham.
Yeah,
More on that later.
a lot of the fun of this division is its wide openness. And in this time, we can kind of pinpoint who is going to need to succeed for either or any of these teams to come out on top. So we obviously have the Bills, the Jets, the Patriots, and the Dolphins today. And they've had some pretty strong draft classes, but that is not the only criteria for who we're getting to pick today. We're limiting it to the younger players. Maybe they have played a year or two, but the people who we see stepping up and having to make a huge jump and a huge just overall placement for this team.
They need to step it up if these teams want to go.
Exactly. So
if they want to win Super Bowls, these are the guys that have to make that move.
Yes, they are. Without further ado, Topher, go ahead and give me your pick for the Buffalo Bills future difference maker.
You don't know how hard I wanted to choose Josh Allen, but we all know my take. I think Jake Fromm's taking that after another lateral during the playoffs.
Oh,
racist text or otherwise, I think he's the better quarterback.
Yeah, that's one of my least favorite takes of yours coming out of this draft. But in Josh Allen's stead, who are you tagging here?
Ed Oliver. He's one of those guys that has to go. And I understand sometimes guys have those rough rookie years. He didn't necessarily have one. At defensive tackle, sometimes it's hard to get to a quarterback. But he did only have 5 sacks. Not a horrible place to start. But he needs to pick that up. We're looking for a massive lead from him, or at least I am, if this team is going to go places. He needs to be that defensive centerpiece that everyone was kind of like, yeah, it's going to happen or it has to happen. I don't see Tremaine Edmonds being that dude. I see it being Ed Oliver. And sometimes disappointing year ones lead to frustration fueled
comeback season.
Year twos.
Exactly.
You know, just really angry year twos where you get like 12 sacks.
If Buffalo's going to succeed, I can absolutely see why they would need Ed Oliver to be that man up front. They need somebody who plays as big of a role as Tre'Davious White does on their secondary, coming at the quarterback on every single play, coming at the running back, making sure that they're not letting up huge spurts of yards. And Ed Oliver makes a lot of sense. But on the other side of the ball, I feel like they're a little bit weaker on offense. And I'm not fully confident in Devin Singletary's abilities to be the main back. And with my very announced love for Zach Moss, if you're a regular viewer of this podcast, it only feels right to put him here.
I agree. Zach Moss is a beast. He and loyal Seattle fans, don't get mad at me when I say this. He's got that Marshawn-esque tenacity, and seeing a dude like that come back to the Bills after Marshawn left all those years ago is so cool. Wow, I just noticed this. Reminiscent of Marshawn Lynch. This is why we're partners and co-hosts.
It's like you read my mind. I've got it over here on the little sheet.
I didn't read any of the things you wrote. I was trying to be surprised.
You didn't even need it to know what I was thinking here. He has, like you mentioned, that huge down the field runner, Derrick Henry-esque style of running that fits the mold of Marshawn Lynch in those exact same colors. There's a lot to love there. Plus, I mean, like I said earlier, I don't think Devin Singletary's the dude. And with the way of the committee going how it is right now, I feel like Zach Moss could step in there and be the main attraction. Sure, Singletary is going to get plenty of touches. But I think Zach Moss can transition to not only being their Tolbert-style guy at the goal line, which I do fully think he'll start as, but he'll go ahead and take over some more down the field, let it be that bruising back that lets it loose a little bit, and then Singletary can get out there outside of the tackles.
As the resident fantasy expert on this channel, that self-proclaimed, of course, I love the idea that Zach Moss is going to be a goal line vulture,
Absolutely.
even if he's not the starting guy. Just a goal line vulture, just eats touchdowns from Singletary. And Singletary is he's a smaller and back. He's kind of on the short side. He's about my size. That's terrifying. Imagine me between the tackles.
Well, he's got a little bit more muscle and natural
For
athletic.
me, at least, that's certain death. For him, yeah, he's got pads and muscles. But a guy like Zach Moss is finding the end zone. So, yeah, Zach Moss, one of those dudes that needs to step up. Because who wouldn't love to see a Buffalo riot after they win the Super Bowl?
The Bills Mafia, we've mentioned it a couple times on the podcast prior. We don't need the Mafia taking over completely. But if it's on the shoulders of Zach Moss, I feel like I can let it slide.
Well, something I'm surprised we haven't seen yet is someone, a massive writing campaign for Jim Kelly to be president of the United States under the Bills Mafia Party. I know that's not something anyone on this channel has even hinted towards. It's not an inside joke, or at least it wasn't. Now it is. But that is definitely a thing I can see happening at some point. I hope the Bills Mafia gets their hands on this footage. Moving on, though, to Buffalo.
The Jim Kelly presidency now goes in the Hall of Fame right next to Eric Flower syndrome. But to kind of steal your thunder on this part, the New York Jets up next. You can go ahead and hit your first part.
I already mentioned it once. I forgot I wrote this down. I'm glad I mentioned it, though. Resident fantasy football expert. Fantasy football players will know Chris Herndon, the Jets tight end, well, as someone who vanished off the face of the earth after 3 sick games in his rookie season. Got hurt year 2. He had over 500 yards and 4 touchdowns. Most of that came from 3 games. Regardless, I can see him becoming a bigger part of the offense. He might have been hurt most of last season. That doesn't mean he wasn't on the team reading the playbook. Perhaps he'll come back after only having 1 catch last year and be more comfortable in an Adam Gase offense where he could thrive. I could see him being a large part of the offense. I would consider him a top 2 or 3 receiver on the team. I'm not really sure how much talent we're working with Jamison Crowder, Robbie Anderson, and Denzel Mims. Haven't seen him yet. Could go off. I don't know. But right now, I'm labeling Herndon as a top 3 option, and his success, I think, could mean really good things for Le'Veon Bell as well as the rest of the offense.
Quick thing on what you just said. I think it's hard to ask anyone to be comfortable around Adam Gase from what we've seen. But
no chance that dude doesn't do cocaine.
Yeah, it sure doesn't seem like it from all the numerous videos of him looking very strung out. But I digress. I have some faith in Chris Herndon. I don't know if him with Adam Gase makes a lot of sense, but I don't think it made a lot of sense for them to retain Adam Gase. So I guess we'll see how it works out. They obviously are denouncing Le'Veon Bell's stature with the offense. So maybe that'll lead to more Sam Darnold passing attempts, letting him get more comfortable with his receivers, and by extension, Herndon. But only time will tell. But did we go on opposite sides of the ball every time? We did. That works out perfect. I didn't even realize we were doing that.
We're awesome.
Yeah, side note on that part. We've had 2 revelations on this show about the show in the middle of the show that we didn't even realize were happening. But I digress again. Bryce Hall out of the University of Virginia is my pick here. I personally, again, we got the softball here in the AFC East because so many of the prospects that I loved this year landed in this division. Bryce Hall happened to be one of them. I said he was better than Trevion Diggs in college, and I'll stick to that to this day. I don't understand how he fell so low in this draft class. I understand he had the ankle injury that sidelined him for a while, but the leadership ability and the talent that he's shown whilst on the field blew my mind. I thought he was a legitimate first-round cornerback without the ankle injury, and I don't get how he fell beyond round 2 even. And he's got that legitimate star ability in my eyes. I think he could play up to the level that Josh Norman does in the zone or had in Carolina. I see a lot of comps to James Bradbury, which, again, that system tended to breed those zone corners. Maybe he should have ended up in Washington with Ron Rivera because we know he likes breeding those guys. But in the Jets system, I'm very intrigued to see how he works out. Moving on.
Yeah, I don't have anything to add. You covered everything. Maybe I wish the Vikings drafted him over Cam Dantzler. That's really about it. I don't have anything to add to his star ability. Yeah, he'll be vital. Of course he will. That defense is horrifying to look at. They have stud inside linebackers, a potential bust candidate in Quentin Williams. That one upset me deeply.
I was about to say that he could be on a similar path that Oliver, or he could be on a similar path to Solomon Thomas. It really just depends on.
Yeah, he makes me sad. That's the only reason I didn't pick him, to be honest. I didn't feel like talking about him that much.
It's a tough pill to follow.
I was really looking at it. I was like, oh, another Muhammad Wilkerson with better run stopping ability. Nope.
Just did not materialize like that. On to a team that tends to capitalize on who they draft, the New England Patriots. Topher, go ahead and hit us off.
Josh Uche. That's all I have to say. We can move on.
Not quite, Topher.
He's a versatile linebacker. So who was surprised when he ended up on the Patriots? Yeah, he can cover and rush. Oh, no, oh, man, who's going to draft him? The Vikings again? Yeah, that worked out well with Anthony Barr. No, the Patriots. Bill Belichick took him, and it's no surprise. Mark my words, he's going to be so comfortable with Bill Belichick. He's not even going to get yelled at, I bet, because he's so perfect for this. It's like Jamie Collins and Donta Hightower. Maybe not that level. Kyle Von Noy too, I bet. All three. He's going to become the next disposable Pro Bowl linebacker for the Patriots. He is. It's a vicious cycle that makes you go to the Browns and Lions apparently, unless you're lucky and end up staying like Donta.
Well, Detroit kind of has a Patriots junior vibe going on up north.
Kyle Van Noy started there. He was like a 6th-round pick. They trade him for a 7th-round pick, and now they're paying him millions of dollars to come back.
It's like in soccer, whenever they loan a player out, the Detroit Lions are doing that on accident. They're like, yeah, you can walk. And then the Patriots get their hands on them, and they're like, we're going to make you awesome now. And they're like, oh, give him back. It's our turn to play with the new toy. It's like, wait, we had him on the roster? Really?
The Titans did that, except they're just buying players. Malcolm Butler and Deion Lewis, how are you letting them both walk?
And Logan Ryan's still sitting out there?
Yeah, he's a free agent too. We need to do a show about free agents. We were talking about this already today. Regardless, let's move on. We'll do that another day.
My pick here, many of you may find it curious because the New England Patriots did just sign Cam Newton. But I am a firm believer in Jarrett Stidham. We have an article up on Nexus Sports Network's new website where we've been posting stuff, which I'll put a link for that down below. But Jarrett Stidham seems like the ultimate McDaniels and Belichick guy. He plays in a very similar facet to Brady. We know he can succeed by watching his preseason snaps. I know it's preseason. Don't jump on me. That's all we have of him so far.
Hey, we all remember Dak Prescott.
Yeah, Dak Prescott did awesome after he was pretty great in Dallas whenever Romo went down in preseason.
Not too many people throw for 300 yards during preseason games. So, breaks.
Maybe it's a good judgment call. But
you know what? I'm not going to argue with you about Brady. Stidham. We've been through this. You finish up, and then I get to talk about a quarterback.
Yeah, you do actually. The last big point I want to hit on, he fits like a glove in that system, and he's currently working with a coach that we have seen numerous times, has just this knack of taking quarterbacks that wouldn't be starting anywhere else and just being like, hey, you're really good now. We've seen it from Brissett, from Mallett, Castle, Hoyer even. Like quarterbacks that like have no reason to be good, but they're like, oh, these colors make me Superman for some reason. So I'm just going to go out here and work my ass off. And he has done just that. And I very much look forward to seeing what they can do with Stidham.
I would have loved to see Kirk Cousins this isn't the quarterback, by the way, but I would have loved to see Kirk Cousins in a Patriots uniform, just because he's such a basic QB. He would have been amazing.
Or
Like
Matt Ryan. Think about how different the world could be if Matt Ryan was there.
actual star power upon entering the league rather than having to gain it after being a late sixth rounder.
Exactly.
Incredible. But we're talking about someone drafted in a similar position to Matt Ryan. Sorry, at the moment I don't remember where he was picked. It was pretty early, but it wasn't. I don't think it was 5.
Yep.
Well, how about the number 6th overall pick in this year's NFL draft, Mr. Tua Tagovailoa? He's smart, talented, very capable. I'm like 90% sure I got most of that pronunciation right too.
Yeah, it's been drilled into our heads over the past few months as we've poured over the tape. So
I
think
don't
it started
feel
working.
like looking like Kamish. I didn't know where to go after that joke, but I felt like it needed to be said.
Needed to get out there.
Yeah, more people need to talk about that. It was horrendous. He only had 3 years to get it right. So I believe Tua's in this really unique position. He has almost an entirely new offensive line, something that we've seen a lot. The Vikings did it. It worked for a year and a half. He has plenty of weapons. Gesicki, he just got Jordan Howard and Breida, an entirely new backfield. He's lucky not to have to work with Kalen Balaj. No offense to him, but it's Breida and Joho rather than just Kalen Balaj and like Pat Laird. That was a name for a day.
Pat Laird was. I told you to pick Pat Laird up in fantasy one week.
I know. I played him. I had no options. I lost in our championship because Lamar Jackson decided to sit week 17. Oh, yeah. That's why I lost.
Didn't make me throw one of my bad takes out there. Go back around to Tua.
It wasn't that bad. But, yeah, he has an entirely new offensive line. Austin Jackson's the superstar in that situation, which doesn't put that much promise in the air. But Austin Jackson, Joho, Breida, Devontae Parker's on a whole new salary. He still has Jakeem Grant and Albert Wilson, 2 names that need to be said more often. And Mike Gesicki. So he's got weapons. Are they shiny? Maybe not. Devontae Parker is. Not all of them, though. Is his offensive line perfect? No. Was Andrew Luck's any of that perfect? No. He had a rookie Kobe Fleener and T.Y. Hilton.
He's still hung
And he managed to spit out 11 wins. I'm not saying that he will. I'm not even saying he's going to start. But I feel like this is a really special situation for him to potentially go off if they decide to make the horrible decision and start him week 1.
He has a very high level of potential. I know you are not a fan of the Drew Brees with a left arm tag, and you even comped him a little bit to Fitzmagic earlier.
But Fitzmagic, not Fitzpatrick.
Yeah.
When Fitzmagic was with Tampa for that 4 to 5 game period, he looked like a 99 overall in Madden that someone just made. You know, they just upped all the stats.
They just drilled them all up.
I feel like he has that type of potential. Not 99 overall in Madden. I'm saying it now, peaking at an 89 with a superstar, not X Factor. That's what I'm going. Not this season.
Okay, there you go.
No, he's not getting there this season. Come on, Deshaun's an 86.
Dude, it is Madden.
Oh, fair enough.
It's very much still Madden. Matty Ice has an 89 to bring up, or 87, one of the two.
Yeah, no. Wentz is the 10th best. He's an 84 overall. I like this game. Not everyone's great, except for C-Mac. He shouldn't be a 99.
Yeah.
What was that?
I don't like how you just said. I don't think Saquon should be so low. He's a 91. But that's not what this conversation is about.
It should be.
Maybe okay, so we've got a free agents thing, a Madden podcast to do. We've got some things up on the docket coming soon. But
be excited.
To round out this list, Curtis Weaver, Boise State, another player that you guys have heard me chirp about time and time again. One of my favorite prospects in this class. I had him ranked on my final big board at the 28th best player. He fell to the 5th round. Maybe
28.
Yeah. I'll send you that big board after this pod. But he fell all the way to the 5th round, and I think a big reason why people would not draft Javon Roland-Jones coming out of college. For those of you who do not know who Javon Roland-Jones is, he is one of the all-time sack getters in CBS history. And the reason he was not drafted was because he was a phenomenal edge rusher, great hands, great technique, but he was undersized. People worried that maybe he couldn't play the edge, even though he showed time and time again that he could. So he never really got a fair shake in the NFL. Curtis Weaver could be in position to not get a fair shake right now, but the only player he has to go through is Vince Beagle, realistically, to be starting across from Kyle Van Noy. And I like his chances. He fell right into their lap. He's got great technique, great mobility. He gets slippery whenever he's in the hands of those offensive tackles. And I'm telling you, watch out for him, because I think by the end of the season, he could be one of the starters and could have even be a really big piece for them moving forward.
I really wish you left more meat on the bone anytime you talked, because you always kind of make every point that you can.
Yeah, it's –
That being said, I have a few things I can say on Curtis Weaver that you didn't. I really think the Vikings are going to regret not drafting him, especially after they decide to cut half their defense. About the undersized thing, I agree. John Randall really fought to get into the NFL, and I'm sure everyone knows who John Randall is. He is literally one of the best defensive tackles in NFL history, and probably the only other defensive tackle that's a better pass rusher than him is Aaron Donald.
Yeah.
I think undersized hurts players, but you don't want to be oversized either. Deion Jordan was a massive person and one of the all-time busts, not only for the Dolphins, but also the NFL. Wow, was that one bad. 4th overall. This guy's 5th round, and I still think he's going to be better than Deion Jordan ever was. I think he's going to be a starter. I think he's going to be an excellent talent. Just he's going to be wearing the wrong jersey for most of his career.
Yeah, there's been a couple of these players so far today that you've had to listen to me talk about and rave about and just be like, man, all we have left is
possible. We drafted people at the same position. We took Cam Dantzler before Bryce Hall.
All we have left is a strip D line and a running back who's about to sit out. That's what's running through your head.
Play.
That's the man. Oh, is it time to get it burning like LeBron?
If you want. It depends. If he sits out, I still want to trade him.
Here, I'll make you a deal. We'll burn the jersey on the podcast if things go really sour.
If we can't reach a deal and he's like, yo, I'm sitting, like Le'Veon Bell. Yeah, I sat out a year, went to the Jets, made less money. If he sits out, we'll burn it on the podcast. That's a promise.
Bet. When we have it in recording, and it will be up on the channel. Speaking of, if you guys tuned in to the draft podcast, you guys will get a kick out of this. Logan Windsor's Jordan Love jersey has officially come in, and he has taken it back home to the what is it, Milwaukee? I know it's up in Wisconsin. He's in that general area.
He's in Milwaukee.
Yeah, okay. So he's got it back up home. Everybody's loving it. It's the face of the franchise. And
our fearless leader who pouted in a corner.
He
has bought the jersey of the man he was pouting about. Oh, man.
Well, he told us he would on the podcast. That's what you're going to have to live up to here.
I was going to buy it for him because I told him Jordan Love was going to get drafted there.
Yeah.
But then he decided to, turn a mood after, a week. He was like, you know what? I'm just going to support the decision. Yes, support not trading up for CeeDee Lamb, something they were more than capable of doing at the time. They could have traded the rest of the draft for CeeDee Lamb, and it would have came out better than it did.
Yeah.
All of their picks, all 6 picks they had this last year, all of them, all those picks, just 1 through 7, all of them go straight there. Oh, wait, no, they had a whole bunch of stuff. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
All of those picks for the 17, and then, they'd have a receiver better than Geronimo Allison to put next to Devontae Adams.
Yeah,
there's route runner in the NFL. Top 3.
They've left.
There's only one on the team
so far, but
one player.
We will get to touch on them soon enough if we continue with this trend of talking about future playmakers. With that being said, I think we've hit our mark here, Topher.
Woo!
Woo! All right. For
Hey,
oh,
everyone, if you made it this far, subscribe, like, all that stuff. Thank
right.
you.
And check out the link below where I'm going to put the article that we just did. Without further ado, I've been Jackson McCarty.
I will always be Chris Barr.
See you guys next time.